Coach V Show. And thank you so much for everybody for tuning in here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron. Together we rise. I really appreciate you just tuning in, whether on the Dash Radio app or on the Island City Media Group on Dash Radio app, or through the Island City Media Production here on Facebook Live, as we feature a real champion nationally within the API community. Brother Sean Yang will be talking about his immigrant experience, what he does for the California State Water Board as a governor appointee, what he does for the Elk Grove Unified School Board, and his leadership position as a full-time volunteer with the great organization of APAPA. Coming up to you, hang in tight, right after this brief message break from our sponsor. Thanks again. Peace.
Soles is more than just for saving your floors. It also prevents heel bruises and pains from unbalanced cleats.
Hi, my name is Daniel Bruckner. I'm a private practice pediatrician here in Southern California, as well as the chair of pediatrics at Providence Cedars-Sinai Tarzana Hospital, and a good friend of Wendy's and also the pediatrician of her children. And I'd like to take this time to support her product, Soles. I think it's an amazing product that will benefit children greatly. And every day we see kids come from soccer practice, things like that. They don't want to take off their cleats, so they come in, and I've seen accidents, I've seen sprained ankles, I've seen hurt heels, and I think that this Soles product will really help prevent those from happening. Not only as a pediatrician, but also as a consumer. I can't wait to get the product for myself and for my children. I think it's something that should be owned by every athlete across the country, and I really hope that everyone goes and buys it and enjoys it. Thank you.
Soles will have memory foam and TPE mesh that will wrap around the cleats. After showing my product to my professional friends, I realized one thing. This isn't a product people want, it's a product people need. Soles, taking you from the cleats to the streets.
Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development, with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. Offering for your consideration these success frameworks, behavioral models, and life lessons. Should you find value in them, either from me or Brother Sean Yang, please deploy it generously into your life, leadership, and business. Today, we are featuring Mr. Sean Yang, my brother from another mother, here in the Elk Grove 916 region. And Sean is the board vice president for Elk Grove Unified School District. He's a board member of the California State Central Valley Regional Water Control, and he is the chair for APAPA, Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs for the Central Valley region. He has a Bachelor's of Science in Electronics and Engineering and Executive Master's of Business Administration from Fresno State. He is a self-proclaimed, and I define him as a family man as well, family man, married to Kabao Her Yang. They have 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys, and he is a community champion, a community advocate, and a community volunteer. He loves to help develop youth towards success. He loves to learn from others and helps others. He loves sports, and he's a refugee that came to the U.S. at 12. And English is his 4th language behind Hmong, Lao, and Thai. And if you think that you got golf game, you got to see my boy on the links, because this cat is Coach V's ringer at every tournament that I go. Brother Sean Yang, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, man, Coach V, thank you for such a kind and nice word introduction. Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, brother, it is a pleasure to have a community champion like yourself. So let's get to it. Let's tell your story to the audience. Let's make sure they know that how it is that they can help you help the community. Let's just start with your genesis point. What's the genesis point that you want to start off with in terms of you introducing yourself to the American public and the world via the Coach V Show here on Island City Media?
Sure, Coach. For me, I started with as a refugee kid, who was born in Thailand. And, even before that was because, my Mom, my dad, they immigrated from Laos because of the Secret
Mm-hmm.
War in Laos that everybody knows so well, broke out in 1975. And they moved to Thailand. And I was born there, lived there for 12 years, and had a chance to come here at age 12. And from there on, I just fell in love with sports from day one, and always believe in education, especially public education, from my dad, my mom, and just the older brothers who were ahead of me. And just, being a student of learning things that I didn't know and always trusting people who had experience
Mm-hmm.
and just try to be my best and give back because my parents, my dad was a former mayor from the Laos country, and my mom, who well, had 10 kids and
Mm-hmm.
always been an entrepreneur herself to provide food on the table, especially after the war. And just having older parents who always preach about education and relationship and family and community service, those sort of things just kind of built on as a foundation for me personally. And even though I love sports, I never really, I was an A student, but I was always, work hard to maintain as a B student from day one. So that's kind of like the base of what I came from, and I still use that foundation as my day-to-day life.
That's awesome. Family, hard work. And how would you characterize that, Sean? What would be the 3 to 4 things from your upbringing and the modeling, the amazing modeling that your parents gave you? What are the 3 to 4 things that the audience can draw from that you felt like these are the 4 things in my upbringing that helped me become who I am today, Sean?
Well, I think the first thing is family love, and it's something that I had since I was a little kid because my mom and dad and sibling, um, we just had that,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
kind of as early as I could remember, and always, was taught that education was the
Mhm.
foundation, and helping the community whenever you can. Those are the sort of things that I grew up with, and my dad always taught me: if you, an honest man, has integrity, and you work hard, it, it doesn't matter which country you live in, you're going to be
Mm.
okay. So I still remember that, and try to live up to that since as early as I can remember until today. Still doing the same thing.
I love that. Number one for the audience, for those of you taking notes, and I would take out my pen and paper because we're just getting started here and just dropping some knowledge that can just reset or make sure that you start to prioritize some things in your life, leadership, and business. Number one for Mr. Yang is 1, family love. Number 2, education. 3, helping the community. 4, integrity. And number 5 was hard work. Anything else on that, Mr. Yang?
Well, to me, I think that I always, wear my hat in the sense that I'm going to do things that I truly believe that it's right, and
Mm.
things that I do it that I felt like I could go to bed and fall asleep, versus you doing something just try to please people, but you can't go to bed and fall asleep because you know that you did it the wrong way, and the way just basically kissing somebody's behind.
Right.
And that's kind of like the the overall thing that I live by, with everything else that I have as a foundation. That's kind of like the end game. I want to make sure that at the end of the day, I'm still being me.
Mm. I love that. Do what's right and stop being a people pleaser. Oh, Sean. Viliami Tuivai, now known around the country as Coach V, and here in the world pretty soon. in terms of just my eagerness to help people become their best, not because I'm anything special, but I can help people become their best in terms of just frameworks and them considering these things. And number one for me that I needed to get over from being 30 something to my 40 something, being 46 years old right now, is Coach V, stop being a people pleaser. Real talk, Sean. So I mean, that's a hard thing to do because people are really grabbing at you like, I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me. I just did this for you, so you need to do this for me. And I love what you said. I mean, do what's right. Do what you believe in. Do what you stand for. Do what's best for the community. Can you talk more on how you overcame being a people pleaser and our own self-doubt, right? Because that's why we people please, because we don't believe that we can do it without them. Right. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Sean?
Well, sure. I think that it just first and foremost, I learned from my dad and my mom to be, yourself, and always try to help out people. And from day one, I felt like I'd never been a people pleaser kind of person. Yep. But I think as I got older, I learned that, what? I have to have peace within me. And if I have peace within me, then I could be a better Sean for myself and then for other people. But if I don't have peace with Sean, it's just very difficult to be, a helper to the community and make the community better, especially the kids and the disadvantaged community. So I want to set peace with Sean from the inside. And that's those kind of thoughts are the ones that really, set myself at peace within myself. And just, it's not easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. It took a lot of time for me to really gravitate toward, things that I need to do and think about it to find that peace. It took a while, but, I found peace and confidence and I'm just at ease. And, I don't remember exactly when I found that, but, it's been a while. And, I felt like, every day is a bonus. It's just like, the other day I was in an event and, this guy that I grew up in Sacramento, and he shook my hand, after I went and spoke on the stage. He's like, man, I didn't know, but you are no longer chasing your dream. You are living your dream. And he just, say it real out loud and looking right at my eyes. And I'm just like, well, I'm just, doing what I'm passionate, and those sort of things just, kind of, reiterate to you that, hey, you're doing something right,
That's right. Oh my gosh, that's so wise, because I was a people pleaser because of my lack of confidence in being able to get things done on my own and that people will accept me for who I was. So that's awesome for you that you were that strong. It took me a little bit longer than Sean. For the audience out there, it took me a little bit. And I think I'm still aware, but like you said, not just being yourself, but being your best self. Is what success and life fulfillment, progress and achievement demands. Let me say that again. Not just to be yourself, but to be your best self. That's what success, life fulfillment and achievement is attracted to. Do you find that to be also your experience, Sean?
Oh, sorry, Coach. Which part?
The part about being your best self.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because there's the ghetto Coach V. And I post it all the time, right? Yeah. There's still some Pomona and some hood in me, but when I speak, it's with the UC Davis course, right? Right.
No, I love that. I love that. That message from you, and that's the truth. And I think that that's you being the real you, and you don't become who you are without experience. You call it ghetto or from the time you're living in poverty, whatever that may be. But, for me, I'm going to share, this with you and the audience, that the most difficult part for me was the fact that, I came to this country at the age of 12. And, English was, a language that, was the most difficult language for me, because the first three language, Hmong, Lao, Thai, I grew up with it, right? And then, I
Yes.
went to school, also. So it became like a natural thing for me, even though I didn't know I was a good student, but I felt I was always like a top three in the whole school. I would get, announced to go receive award. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that I was a good student, but I was like top three, right? Out of the whole school. We used to like line up in the morning, in front of the flag, and, they will call out, once in a while they will call out the top student. And I got to go on there. It was just very shocking for me. But when I came to the US, it was just so difficult because you have to learn it from scratch. And I didn't know my ABC either. And it was just so difficult. But I was very determined. I could tell you this, Coach, in the audience. I was so determined that, I'm not going to be speaking English as a broken speaker English. That was like, I make that determination mentally from day one, as far as I can remember. And, I still struggle, pronouncing some words, but, I'm trying to be better every day. And every day I'm still reminding myself, man, there's always new words that when I read a book or, read the news or, I still see new words. I'm like, I got to Google this, right? And I'm like, God, this is so difficult. But as I got older, I realized that even, the folks that are born in America, they still struggle as well. It's just not me. And, that really put that, another addition at peace with myself, and I just feel more comfortable with myself. So that's something that I think that being your best is great, but knowing that you are not going to be, like perfect.
Yes.
It's like, you making progress, and be happy with the progress that you are making. And don't get so lost of chasing being perfect. And if you're not perfect, you're not going to be happy. Well, I could tell you guys that, being a 45-year-old, reflecting back, I was never perfect. But, as I got older, I learned to really appreciate Sean for who he was, who he is, and really just enjoy the progress. And it's not an easy thing to do that. I'm still have to fight, with that thought and that enjoyment, even like right now. But once you recognize that, I think that things just get a little easier. You enjoy things a little bit more than you used to.
Oh my goodness. And myself as well, struggling with the English language, coming here at 4 years old, but being immersed. I mean, you just pick it up. You start to pick it up, and then you start to figure things out. And it's for even guys like me, right? When I was younger, like people would make fun of me because, it's an old brand that's not even around anymore, like Plymouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to learn English, you don't say Plymouth, you say Plymouth, right? The old automobile. I was like, oh, that's a Plymouth.
Yeah.
And everybody starts laughing at me because I'm, I sound very immigrant, and I was okay with that. But it was funny now looking back, mean and mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? And
right.
You are being mean. Same thing, right?
That's right.
Meat.
Yes.
To meet someone, and what kind of meat do you want in your rice bowl? Steak, chicken, or fish? I mean, that was very confusing to me as well. But just like you, I perceive, and I'm asking the question, I didn't blame anyone else for how hard it was. Really, the approach that I took is what I coach in my coaching, right? Is consistency in action over perfection is what rules the day. Consistency in effort, not perfection. Because when people wait for perfection, man, that's a long wait. Right. Absolutely. And I think you're judging yourself a little bit too harshly versus I'm making every effort to, and then from here, I'm going to move forward tomorrow. This is what I did today. Tomorrow, I'm going to keep moving forward. Was that similar to your experience with your struggle with all of the words that sound the same, these compound words, when to abbreviate, right? That was very challenging for me. But because of the fact that I was like, hey, I looked at the guy next to me who was from here, right? And he was having worse challenges than me. But just because was that a similar experience for you, Sean?
Absolutely, absolutely. And just hearing you talk and share your experience, it's hard for me to believe because you're so good at speaking English, and you're just so good at what you do. And it's just hard for me to really, well, to not, I wouldn't say accept it, but but it's hard to believe. But it's good to hear that a guy who are right around my age, and who came at age 4 but still struggle. So that just kind of like it's just another medicine for me to feel a little bit better and at peace, for myself. And I tell you what, I think that for me, growing up with this, different language and with a different background, it really helped propel me to be, I think, a little bit more open-minded than some kids that grew up here that I was friends with. And, even though they were just my cousin or niece or nephew, they didn't see things that I saw and didn't understand what I understood. And that's part of, you lose something as far as the language go, but because of the, background that I was growing up with in, back in Thailand, with living with different environment and people, I felt like I somewhat had an advantage, So I had a disadvantage as a language go, but as far as experience and growing up, I had an advantage. So I don't know if you feel the same way or not. Yeah. So it depends how you look at it. So for me, what I'm trying to say is, I love my upbringing. At times you just knock on yourself like, man, I wish I was born in America, so I would struggle with the language. But when you assess with other things, you're like, man, I wouldn't change for the world.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And know that I marvel you in how you speak, because once you're past 9 years old, it's really hard to learn new things because you question everything, right? That's why adults, it's so hard for them to learn. Like for me, learning how to snowboard was really hard at 42 years old, right? Yeah. And like my son just kept on doing it, and now he's really amazing. But that's what I marvel at you too. So kudos to you too, that at 12 years old, that you are speaking in public forums, state forums, county forums. You represent the state on the water board. You represent our community for that we both live in on the Elk Grove School Board, and you have to really convey your words. And for those of you that are not in the speaking industry, I really do define a difference between speaking and conveying. Speaking is saying what you want to say. And that's communication. And that's a basic fundamental of communication is you speak your truth. You say what you want. Conveying now is saying it according to who the receiver of the information can receive it. Come on, Sean. So that was the hard part for me is like now going, not only do I just say something or make a statement and they should understand it, now I got to go and try to figure out how to win hearts and minds by using my words. That's when I started to level up in my thinking. What about you, Sean?
Oh, man, I think you hit it right on the nail or the head, whatever you call it. That was so on point. That is so true. And I think that, a lot of us, especially me, growing up in a poverty, environment, a lot of people, they use slang. And I didn't know better. I thought that everybody would speak the same way. It doesn't matter where you go to. I was very naive, back then. But, as I, got older, I realized, man, there's different, terminology, different way of, of conveying information. And that is through what you're saying and writing as well. Right. And there's just different way. And you just have to learn how to really use the proper way of speaking and terminology and so forth. And if you don't do that, a lot of audience would not understand what you try to convey.
That's right.
And the message that you try to, send to them it's going to be lost in the way of getting to them. And I think that coach is absolutely right, especially if you serve in the public, I would say, platform where you speak to a large audience. There's a lot of smart people out there, and a lot of educated people out there, and there's people that judging you without you noticing as well. And it really is not their fault. It's your responsibility to be able to have that education and not that knowledge of communicating effectively with them and to them. So yeah, you're right on point, Coach. And as I in these elected seats or this elected seat, and also appointed seat from the governor, and I learned quickly that I have to be better, and I'm trying to be better as time goes on. But yeah, you are definitely on point.
Yeah, and you're doing a phenomenal job. I do consider myself a effective communicator, and so really from the program it is that I teach, right, just for the audience, because Sean has been around me, we've had some great conversations about this. Effective communication is the sending and or receiving information in the way that it was intended. Mm-hmm. Effective communication is the sending and or receiving information in the way that it was intended. And that normally does not happen in life leadership.
You are phenomenal. Just letting you know, Coach, you are phenomenal. I just always praise you from day one. Like, man, this guy is so good. And beyond your talent, it's just like your raw passion for family and embracing this of loving your family and people in general. That to me, that was like, ice on the cake. That's like,
I appreciate that.
You don't really find guys like Coach V,
Oh man, they're all over. Sometimes we look like Sean Yang, right? Sometimes we look like CC Yin, right? Yeah. Sometimes we look like Abraham Lincoln. Yes. Sometimes we look like, you know what I mean? It just depends, right? But there's so many of us out here, and thank you for those kudos on me. Know that I feel the same thing about you. Let's talk family. You've already talked about how your parents modeled family. I mean, there's only 24 hours in the day, and you're on the board. I mean, you're a leader of a national Asian Pacific. I mean, APAPA is a national and worldwide advocacy groups for the rights of the Pacific Asian and people of color and minority and people that don't have a voice. Like, let alone you're in 3, like you're school board, water board, and then leading a national organization, and you take your son and you take your kids to their activities, you drop the kids off, you take the kids to school, you and your wife are like all over the place. How do you do all that, Sean? How?
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that, and I won't take all the credit. My wife helped me tremendously. She's a stay-home mom, because I don't think that we could do this without having her as a stay-home mom. So, she does like unbelievable job, and I'm just like so thankful to have her as mom. Thank you to, my beautiful wife, Kabal, first and foremost. But really, to me, Coach, it really started with, your passion, from inside. And I just feel that passion of wanting to help and wanting to be involved and wanted to help community. And for some reason, when I do that, I feel good. I just do. Like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I went with the water board to Fresno to hold an event of about 50 people. And, I was the one that initiated, the idea. But I'm thankful that, our staff, leading by the board, the region executive officer, Patrick Palupa, he and his staff, coordinated with other agencies. And, we had a very successful event. This event was to really, get to know the smaller farmer and disadvantaged farmer in the Fresno County. And, just, able to interact and listen to their struggles and their needs. It's so great. And, I went there, like roughly about 6 o'clock yesterday in the morning, got home about, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and I went straight to Emerald Lake to go pick up my son. And I was like, my bag was very tight because I was like, man, I'm a little bit older now, and just feel like a little bit tight, but it's just like so satisfying. I was going there taking my PTO from Kaiser, but it just like feels so great going there. Like it's just so much momentum, and the adrenaline that you get, going there and coming back, and just thought about the thing that you and the people that you impacted. It just, I don't know, there's just that undescribable satisfaction that comes in your head and your blood, and it just feels great. So
yes, sir.
So the way that I do it is just following my heart and really, working with teams that could help me, because, you can't do it without a team, especially people that are better than you in different areas that you depend on them to
sir.
be. So, yeah, for me, it comes from me, from inside, having passion, and then working with, starting with your family, and then, with, colleagues, staff that you work with. And really, it comes down to a team, but it starts with your passion. So if you follow your passion and work with great people as a team, I think anything is possible.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And talk as well, please, Sean, about this concept of which APAPA is phenomenal at, and which you're phenomenal at. The school board here is phenomenal, the water board. But then at the same time, not only are you good at it, but we cannot survive without community, without collaboration, without teamwork, without relationships. How have in each one of those aspects of your community service and your impact on the state, the counties, the regions, and the city in which we live, how important is collaborations, community, family, and teamwork?
Absolutely. I think it's so vital. It's so vital. It's like, human's body, one organ cannot survive with another. And it's the same thing. It's the same logic. We are so dependent on other group of people, other, agency and different talents. So first and foremost, I think that you have to be, humble and have the understanding of you can't do this alone. That's just that's just the reality, truth. And when you have that mindset and understanding, then you're going to have the humbleness. And it just how do we survive as a Papa? I could tell you that because of the great leadership of CCN and other governing board members. But it comes down to the grassroots people. The grassroots people. They have the same passion of the founding father, and it's the same belief of understanding that we cannot do things by ourselves. We have to do things with other people and with the community. And when you do this, I think it's a momentum that it benefits not just the community but yourself as well. And I always believe in that. So I serve the community, but I know that it comes back and benefit me and my family. And what is that benefit? That's, to me, is that they say that it's unspoken, kudos or karma, right?
Yeah, karma. Yeah.
You do good, it's going to hit you, good stuff. You give, don't expect anything that's going to come back to you, but somehow it'll just come back to you for some reason, and I always believe that, as long as I can remember, because my mom and dad, they always taught us to give. And sometimes I felt like I give a little too much.
Right. Talk about it. Say that again. Sometimes you feel what?
Sometimes I feel like I give a little too much.
Real talk.
And it really hurts me. So I have to remind myself, okay, you know what? I mean, I'm talking about time and money. Okay.
That's right.
I have money, but I'm not super rich, right? I'm not rich. But sometimes you just give without really thinking how much you have. And then you check your account. You're like, oh my God, I gave a little too much. And those are the things. It's like it hurts you at the moment, but believe me, you reflect back, especially at years, after that, you find yourself so proud of yourself. You're like, I cannot believe I did that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the satisfaction of you did that, it's kind of like you felt a little bit like, you say this word, I hope the audience forgive me. You feel a little bit dumb for doing that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No,
you're
real
like,
talk.
yeah, but you're like, man, I am like a very giving person. And and for me, that's, to me, not everybody is willing to do that.
Right.
As I get older, I learn that not everybody is not willing to do that. And maybe they're a little bit, smarter than me. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
feel there's such a satisfaction that comes with it, especially when you reflect back years, after that.
Oh, that's so on point. That's so on point. Let's highlight the city of Elk Grove, and particularly the school board in which you have a seat on as an elected official. And really, please enlighten us. For those of us that are all here in Elk Grove, I got a lot of people that listen in from Elk Grove, but also all over the country. What are the good works that you and the school board are doing here in the city of Elk Grove, California?
Well, Coach, thank you for the question. I think that's a very good question. I think that Elk Grove, before my time, I've been on the board. This is my second year. Before
Yes,
my
sir.
time, I think the school board itself is ranked in a pretty good place as a public school. And it is the fifth largest school district in California, the biggest school district in
Wow.
California, with roughly about 65,000 students. And the things that we try to sustain and then strengthen are, first and foremost, it's just a safe learning environment,
Yeah.
a a, district that provide good academic class staff and environment that the kids feel like they are welcome. They're
Yes.
welcome. And I think that these are kind of like the fundamental of it. But in addition to that, with the pandemic that hit us so hard the last couple of years, we have to really adjust and adapt and then provide additional help for our students first and foremost, but also our staff and then the parents.
Yes.
There's just so many different things that we have to do, in contrary to the normal norm of the Elk Grove Unified School District's learning way
Yes.
of doing it. So to me, I feel very proud and the fact that we're able to work our way through these bumps. And at times I know that there's a lot of parents out there that are not, satisfied and always, knocking on the door, which is completely okay with me. We need to hear what, the stakeholders, which is the parents as well with the student and everybody else, hear what they have to say. But I want to, share with you and the audience that what we really to do is, besides what I already said, is that we really try to close that achievement gap, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
to really close that achievement gap, what does that mean? If you think about it, you at the top, right? And you got the bottom. If the top is really at the top already, how do you close it? You have to bring the bottom up, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how you got to close that gap a little bit. And there's a lot of disadvantaged students,
That's
and
right.
a lot of them, they don't have proper or the right, household that provide them with, the necessary, education background and help that they need. And some people might not think that that's important, but that's very important because, their parents and their siblings, or especially the oldest siblings, are their first teacher.
That's right.
So for us, we really have to provide, additional help, tutoring, and so forth. So, and one of the things what we try to do is the equity work, right? The
Mm-hmm.
equity
Mm-hmm.
work. What does that really mean? It means that we have to provide help, especially like for disadvantaged students. Like, okay, you're talking about English, right? You're talking about math, right? These are, couple subjects that, disadvantaged students are really hurt at, right? Especially the, English second language for them. It's very difficult. So we are working hard to provide this program, and we have hired more staff into it, and a very diverse staff that very involved. That's very inclusive, that reflect of our students' background. And I think that this kind of work is going to really help our disadvantaged students and get them to be better at performing academically. And we're going to close the achievement gap. So, that's one of the example of the many. And I know that we got a lot of work to be done. And like I mentioned earlier, for me, I'm looking at the progress. We got to continue to make progress and not so much, focus on being, being perfect or meeting perfection. Because if we focus on that, I think we're going to hurt ourselves as board and as a school district. But we are making progress, and we are focused on making progress as we go on each day.
Yeah, I love it. Because both of my kids go to school here in Elk Grove, and I just want to shout out all the parents, the administration, your school board, and everybody involved, because of the fact that there was a lot of complaining during the distance learning, and I thought that it was the best that it could possibly be.
Okay.
And my kids were engaging. The teachers that were teaching, I saw they were giving every effort. They were doing everything that they can. And they didn't sign up. The teachers didn't sign up for it either, And so I thought that there was a remarkable, especially on the second time that we went distance learning. So first, when it first hit, we went distance learning. And then the second time is like, okay, we did distance learning, but we're going to do this level of standards and expectations in terms of excellence for student learning. And my kids did well. They did very well, as best as that, grown folks can't sit down for hours on a computer screen, let alone kids. I get all that, but is it anybody's fault? No, I thought you guys did a phenomenal job. The computer checkout, right? It was like, show up at this time. Every kid got a computer in the district.
Yes.
That just amazed me, because me, I'm all about efficacy and efficiency. I'm all about that. I'm all about effective, efficient time, money, right? Focus, daily habits, daily activities, daily routines, automated tasks that create flow. And man, we just pulled up into the parking lot. We showed an ID. We were checked out. We went to get my daughters, got her. It was just like clockwork. Right.
Yeah.
So I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity just to thank the board, and thank everybody on every campus in the 5th largest school district in California. And California has a bigger economy than 6 or 7 other countries. I mean, it's like the 6th largest economy in the world as a state, let alone the people.
Yeah.
So I just, there were so many complaints out there, and I get why.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say yes or no on those complaints. I'm just saying phenomenal job by the district, you and the board, and all the teachers, all of the principals. It was an all hands on deck, right? Yes. And then when we came back, it was like, oh my gosh, now you have to bring your tablet every day. And then the next time was like, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Everything was communicated at a high level. Every time a kid got contact tracing, we got a call every night. I mean, we felt very blessed. This is free public education, right? And I was like, man, this is high level.
Yes.
Somebody was calling me at 7 p.m. I was like, who's this? Oh, hello. We just want to let you know that somebody in your son's class got the contact tracing. I was like blown away. I was blown away, Sean. And I thought that was just really phenomenal. And now let's talk and go to the state. because a lot of folks are talking about gas and gas prices nationally right now. Man, this Tongan brother, I'm always focused on water. Man, because we're just a few months or say, man, the water levels. I went up to Shasta this past winter, and I was floored how a big old lake is just now like a little stream. So where are we going with the water board in terms of, storage for the future? Where, if this happens again, a major drought like we just had, what are the answers? So the public starts to get a chance, because the water board stuff and the solution never comes on the channel, on the news, right? So we got a board member here. Can we talk about water and where we're going in the future in California, please, Sean?
Sure, absolutely. And I just want to make sure that I'm being really clear with you and the audience that, my board is focused on drinking water that is, above ground, and then, in ground.
Yep.
And we also focus on nitrate and, fertilizer. So basically making sure that the drinking water we
don't get poisoned.
Yeah, we don't get poisoned. So that's my board.
Okay.
And there's other state board that involved with other sector of it. So, but let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about water, because we know that water is a consumable commodity that's basically as important as air. But we have quite a bit. So we make it seem like water is not as important as diamond at times, right? But we know that water, we cannot go without it, because it's a need commodity, and that's for sure. So water, it's always been a commodity that, California, especially the Central Valley, meaning that, from, I would say, Modesto down to Bakersfield, it's always been, a very historically drought, areas. Right. Sacramento, I think that we still have, I think we in a better place as far as water go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the general facts of the water for our area in terms of the Central Valley, because my area runs from Redding, Siesta is part of my region, runs all the way to Bakersfield.
Right.
So you are absolutely right. I also had a chance to visit, the dam, the lake, and I was shocked as well. As much as you were shocked, I was shocked as well. So, the reality is this. The reality is, when it rains, those dams collects water, right? And the state water board that is in a different, board from our board, they made a decision to sell water to the Southern California folks, and they oversold it.
Right.
They oversold it because they miscalculate, the amount of rain that's going to come down. So, the reality is that's just the reality of things. And what that did is, because the water was oversold, the water level dropped so low. And when it drops so low, the sun's going to hit it, and then the temperature is going to rise up. And what does that do? That's going to kill a lot of fishes, right? So it creates, other disaster, as we've seen that the water is low, not just for us human, but us also for fishes, right? So, the couple of things that we talked about is, how do we capture rainwater, right?
That's right.
And the current system that we collect rainwater, and I don't claim to be an expert, but I'm sharing what I know, right? So specifically in Sacramento, obviously, rainwater is being captured, by the dam and then by groundwater. So if you would to reflect back on, those weeks that rains really hard in Sacramento, you probably see that there's a whole bunch of water on 80, like under the bridge, when you go to Davis, you see it, like, it's really flood, right? But really, that is a designated collected rainwater, Coach.
Yep.
Yeah,
the causeway, right?
right, exactly. So, but then I think that we could do a better job because you know what? The rest of that water that are not there, it goes straight to the ocean.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So we need to create another, store, or to that another system that stores the water, capture the rainwater, and then the next thing that we need to do is that we need to build recycle system that recycle water system, I should say, because let me share this quickly with you. You know, Las Vegas, is the city that has the least rain, as far as I can remember, but they have this recycle water system that they reuse all their fountain waters. So none of their water are wasted, coach. They reuse it over and over and over again. So they don't have drought issue like we do because we use it, especially like, fountain water and so forth, and so forth. It just flush it down to the ground and it just gone, right?
Right.
So if we do those two things, one is create a system that able to capture rainwater. Two is to build a recycle water system. And we do have, recycle water system in certain place. And
right.
I know that, like, for example, like Fresno Zoo, they have that. And Clovis Hospital, they have that.
Right.
But, other hospital, as far as I know, Kaiser, it's a big hospital. We don't have that.
Yeah.
And in other places. So to me, those are like two of the critical things that we need to accomplish going forward because, we just hit with, the 50 years drought, not too long ago. And
yes,
who
sir.
knows when we're going to hit another one.
Yes.
Every time we hit it, the water, the groundwater, level drops tremendously. That's what scares people because there's a lot of residents that use groundwater as, drinking water and so forth.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And I'm glad that people are looking at that because I hear about all the political issues and I hear all that and I'm like, man, I'm just saying, man, water.
Yeah.
Water is huge, like to me, and that's one of the reasons why I want to get you on the show because I think that to me that's always like the undercurrent that when you realize it's an issue, like it's too late, and then and then now we're arguing the farmers aren't going to get water, and then the people are like, well, we don't need public use or community use in households are way less than agriculture, and then the debates start, right? Versus let's find a solution, right? Right, Sean? Let's recycle. And I keep saying that too because I keep driving, because I'm always traveling and I'm up coming from Seattle and Oregon. I'm like, look at all these rivers just flowing out into the ocean.
Absolutely.
Look at all these rivers in California. Look at all these rivers. And if Alaska is the land of a million lakes, right? I mean, California is the land of a million everything, right? So thank you for that. And then let's go APAPA. Well, what are the things that APAPA is focused on and that you're proud of and that's part of the projects that you're doing currently?
Yeah, thank you for that question. APAPA, as you alluded to, it stands for Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association. And it was established about 21 years ago by CCN and other founders. And, APAPA is really about focusing on inspiring, engaging, and empowering Asian community, first and foremost. But obviously, we help out other community as well. One of the things that it's very great about APAPA is providing internship for youth. And what does that look like? Those internship looks like, for our youth to be our future, we better make sure that we educate them and we develop them correctly. So some of the things that we teach our youth in those internship, it's leadership, public speaking, financial literacy, civic engagement, public affairs, and cultural competency. And these are some of the highlight that we teach our kids along with them going to, the elected official office and other places like, the fire department, police department, they go intern in those kind of environment, and they get to learn from these leaders. And then also the fundamental life skills, as I alluded to. And, they become better, when they go through the intern program. And to me, that along with, really advocating for the community and being a voice for our Asian community, especially during the anti-hate crime that rose up like, in such a high number. We had the anti-hate Asian rally, across the country and in other couple country outside of the U.S. as well. And we had it, in simultaneously. I think it was about almost 20 rally, and that it was going through Zoom as well, virtual, and also obviously in person at the state capitol in California and some other places in New York, Washington D.C. And I thought, those kind of moment, it really tell people who we are as an organization, that we are really empowering, our community, especially our Asian community, because we are the disadvantaged community. We are the minority of the minority community. And we want to make sure that, justice is served and that we are protected when we need, protection most. And APAPA, we don't just do it alone. We do it with other organizations and other community leaders. But most importantly, we do it with grassroots, right? Like guys like myself and other people, and that's what's special about APAPA. And I am a volunteer. I lose money, I don't make any money from APAPA, but what I gain is just, the satisfaction of helping other people and making our kids better and try to do what I can to protect the community. And APAPA, I really, inspired by APAPA's work in so many levels. And I hope that, people hear about APAPA would like to, would check out APAPA's, website, apapa.org, and call me, call me or call anybody. And we would love to fill you in, and we'd love, to get you on board to be a part of community service.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. So you got your mom and your dad, right? All your siblings. You got this Thai background, Laos background, right? You speak English. You're part of the Elk Grove School Board as an elected official, a governor appointee to the California State Water Board, and then you're also in leadership as a volunteer for APAPA. What is Sean Yang's message to the world?
Well, thank you, Coach, for all of that you just mentioned. I really appreciate it. My message is really, be your best. Be your best, but, saying it is not enough. Saying it is not enough. You have to really willing to learn and say, you know what, God give us this life, through our parents. And to me, we are living in paradise.
Right.
Believe it or not. And I want to enjoy my time as a human being on this paradise with my loved ones, starting with my family. And that could be, if you're not married yet, it could be your parents, your siblings. But if you're married, it could be your spouse, your kids, and your mom and dad, and so forth, your brothers and sisters, uncles and friends. And then, everybody is very, very nice in their own way, and just be open up to treat them as another human being that deserve your kindness. Treat everybody like they're your friends. And I think that you will find that they will treat you a little bit better, and this world will become, so much of like so many friends of your friends, because when you treat people like they're your friends, you know what? It's doesn't matter where you go, you have friends all over the place. And this world that we live in, it's again, it's a paradise. And just continue to work hard to be your best, and don't be naive to say you can learn things on your own. You have to open up to mentor. Mentorship, it's, you know, it's so great in terms of really, you know, cutting times of being your best. And I remember this, you know, this message. People always say, you know, the smart people, they will learn from their mistake, but the wise learn from other people's mistake. And I think that hits home. You know, then that's part of mentorship, right? The mentor already went through the, you know, try and error. And if you want to practice being a wise man, you get mentorship. You learn from people's mistake, and that's going to really condense your time, because time is the one commodity that you and I, it doesn't matter if you Bill Gates, Elon Musk, whoever it is, the richest people in the world, they cannot buy even a second of time. Know that. So I will do my part to be my best, but you cannot do it by yourself. You have to do it with other people helping you. And when you do that, I think that you're going to become your best. You're going to make the best decision for yourself to have the best life. And then you can help other people to have them uplifting themselves and uplift the whole community. And it's just a domino effect. You're going to feel like you are such a useful human being. And you know what? Rather you want to have happiness or not, it's you're going to have it. And that's the whole key, is happiness.
Thank you for that, Sean. In that, Sean, you got 30 seconds, right? We got to conclude the show. We're not going to do a Coach V hot seat, but I felt like all of the questions were more important than the Coach V hot seat. What about shout outs, though? Who would you like to shout out, Sean?
Well, I mean, what you mean? Just shout out, giving kudos to?
Yeah, yes, sir. Please.
Well, first and foremost, I want to shout out to Coach V. He's a phenomenal brothers. He's a phenomenal community servants. He's a phenomenal talent. And you know what? Thank you for giving me this chance to express my experience and share what I truly believe what's important in life. I want to shout out to, you know, all the community leaders and the community, you know, constituents, and just the people that help out the community. That, you know what, giving, it's always important. Rather you get anything back or not, you already a winner. So I want to shout out to all those people that help out, and the people that, you know, haven't spared their time to help out. Please know that if you help out, you will be better. You will be happier. You will receive more. And just know that and find time to give. So just want to shout out to everybody that giving, it's such a great thing to do, because when you give, you're going to receive a feeling of satisfaction and happiness that you never receive. And people always say, I hear it time and time, they say, oh yeah, more money, more problem. You know what? I just heard some people say, you know what, you haven't given enough. And believe it or not, you know, I have give, you know, about 10% of my income, you know, as a net income. I feel great, seriously. And the more I give, I feel like I get more. So it's not just about money. It's about giving your time, your ideas, just volunteers and give, and you will be a better human being and a more happy person. Thank you, Coach, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And to everybody else out there, thank you so much for tuning in here on the Coach V Show on Island City, where the beach meets the streets, on your Hollywood radio show for personal development, here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. Thank you to Brother Sean Yang, and then thank you and shout out to his parents, his amazing wife, his children. his 2 girls and his 2 boys, they all reside here, and we're a community family here in Elk Grove. Shout out to APAPA, the school board here in Elk Grove, California, and also shout out to the state board. For Sean and I, it's just not listening in on shows like this really for the sake of your success, but really, as he's alluded to, this entire show for the sake of being your best. In doing so, you realize the best of your abilities and that everything and anything that you dream and work for can be achieved. This is how Sean Yang and your boy, Coach V, this is how we live. All about faith and family, grateful for our God's amazing grace. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in to this episode, both on the podcast, on the radio show from Dash Radio, Hollywood Studios, and on my Facebook Live. Until next Motivation Monday, it is your boy Sean Yang and your boy Viliami Tuivai. One love, mad respects, live it. Peace.